I remember the first time when I was a little kid that I was invited out with my mom and dad to have dinner at someone else's house, and my mom, being gravely concerned about my lack of manners, gave me some quick lessons on how I was to be sure to say please and thank you for everything, and how I was not supposed to shovel the food into my face. She thought that she had taught me very well, and we got to the house, and we sat down at their dinner table, and the father said, "Wow, Mark, you have a great privilege. You're sitting right here next to me, close to the head of the table, and that's always the place that gets served first." And I said, "Thank you very much." And the food was sitting over on a side table, and so the dad picked up the platters one at a time, and he handed them to me, the first in line. And it was a turkey supper, and so this big platter, and I put my fork in very politely, took a nice pile of white turkey meat, beautiful stuff, and then came the mashed potatoes, and I took my mashed potatoes, and then the stuffing, and then I slathered butter and gravy and salt on everything, and I was feeling so good that even when he passed me the carrots and the corn, I took some of those. And I had this plate heaping with food, and I started to eat, and what a wonderful meal it was. But as I was eating, I looked around the table, and strangely enough, no one else was eating. And I thought, what's wrong with these people? And then all of a sudden, I saw that they were glaring at me, and I realized what I had done. As I had taken each platter and gotten my share, I then set the platter down around my plate. And of course, they almost all said at once, "Mark, aren't you going to share that with us?" And I thought, oh my goodness, what have I done? And I often reflect back on that moment and think, how often is it that we as Christians are kind of like that greedy little Marky sitting at the end of the table? I got what I wanted, and that's all that matters. Particularly with respect to the Christian gospel. We have received the bread of life. We have received the living water. We have received salvation. But once we received it, did we then pass it on to the next person down the line? Maybe sometimes we did not. And that's the way in which the church grows, is when one person passes what they have received on to the next person and everyone around them. And I'm here today to encourage you, saying, please, if you've received the good news, share it with everyone around you. In the gospel story today, in John chapter 1 and verse 43, we read the story of a person who understood what it was to pass the good thing along to someone else. Philip received the good news that Jesus Christ was the living God. But instead of saying, wow, this is great, I'm so happy to have this message, Philip naturally and instantly and instinctively said, I have to go and serve this message to someone else. And right away he went to his friend Nathaniel and said, Nathaniel, I've received something wonderful and I want you to share it with me. Come and see Jesus. And what we have in the actions of Philip is the beginning of the growth of the church. And we see how it happens, how the Spirit of God is on the move. And it moves in between individual human beings who want to share God's love with other people. That's how the Spirit flows. And we learn something here about the character of Philip and about what we ought to be. In modern terms, Philip is what we would call a connector. one of those special people who has the ability to relate to a whole bunch of different people and connect up this person with that person and share the information they have. Philip is a connector. And we know today in almost every context, the connectors are the true fabric of society. We don't know much about Philip, but in John's Gospel, he shows up 3 more times, and every time Philip shows up, he is connecting somebody to someone else.